Hey everyone, we're coming live to you guys, and somebody helped me break out of jail today. If you guys don't know me, some of you probably know me, but some of you may not. My name is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I am sneaking out of Facebook jail because I'm banned on my page. And Anthony is putting me on his page. So, hi everybody, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I'm on Anthony's page, but Anthony helped me out with something today. He arranged a little jailbreak for me out of my page because that's where I'm banned on Facebook right now. And he's letting me come live to you guys on his page because I have a major story to tell you guys about what's happening and what happened to my page and has happened to many of you so many times, but it's going to get worse. Okay, we have big problems on the horizon going into 2020. So I'm saying hello to you guys. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. So I'll introduce myself several times as people join on. I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hi you guys. I do know some of you on here. And yesterday I got thrown in Facebook jail. Now, this is a common occurrence for conservatives, but it's not so common for me. I've only been thrown in Facebook jail one other time. Now, here's the issue. This is a huge issue. The reason why I got put in Facebook jail is something that should bother everyone. I shared on my public figure page where I do all my work, I shared tweets that I had seen that were on Twitter where people were calling for the assassination of President Trump. They were actually tweeting the words, and I'm going to tell you guys what they were tweeting. Give me 1 second here. I've got my computer in front of me because I'm going to go through the whole thing. And then I'm also going to talk to you guys about what our Bill of Rights says about what freedom of speech is and what we're all guaranteed as Americans. And then I'm going to explain to you what we have coming into going into 2020. So hang on here. Yes, I see Alex Jones filing a class action lawsuit. Yes. Alex Jones wrote an article. They wrote an article on me on InfoWars yesterday, and Alex Jones talked about me last night on his show, and he talked about me again today. So this is a really big deal. This is a big story, and Anthony is being so awesome. He's allowing me to break out of Facebook jail and sneak in here on his page. So share this story. This is going to be fantastic. You guys aren't going to believe this. All right, so here's what I want to tell you guys. These are the tweets that I shared on my Facebook post, okay? Now, I want to tell you what my caption was. Here was my caption. I said, do any of you remember a day when talking about assassinating the president resulted in getting arrested, right? Because if you talk about assassinating the president, that is, you're going to get investigated. You may be arrested. I mean, you are going to get looked at really hard by the government, which you should. He's the president of the United States. That is, that's something we have to protect him, correct? I mean, we want our president protected. Now, so I said, as in getting arrested in real life, not Facebook jail. When was that? Think about it. When was it? When was it, you guys? When did people used to get arrested and used to get in big trouble for saying that they were going to assassinate the president or calling for his assassination? Think about it. Think hard. Before 2016. Before 2016, that is when you could never, I mean, who would say that anyways? You would never say or call for the assassination of the president of the United States. But everything changed after 2016, right? And I'm going to lay it all out for you guys. It's far worse than you've ever imagined. Okay, so pre-2016 is what I said. But if you're a conservative, that's a different story. This was the caption of my post. And then I shared these tweets. Here they are. I'm going to read them to you, but I'm not going to say the cuss words, all right? We had one. This is from T. Chavosky. It's effing snowing. Might as well assassinate Trump. 5 days ago. This is on Twitter. Aziza. This is Aziza. They say impeach Trump. I say assassinate Trump. These are tweets. These are tweets on Twitter. Okay, these are tweets on Twitter. That one's 5 days ago. Here's another one from a lovely girl named Violet. And I looked her up, and she's a young lady, quite a young lady. Her name is Violet. She sounds very sweet. Her tweet says in all caps, someone please assassinate Trump. In bold. She has it in bold, assassinate Trump. Please, dear God, I am so effing terrified for the future of the planet, and this MFer is opening up 1 million acres, which will even affect protected effing national parks, up for oil drilling. Let's talk about oil drilling in a second. I'm seeing something. Please kill him. This was an actual tweet. What I just read to you was an actual tweet on Twitter. It says 21 hours ago. Okay, these are actual tweets. I took a screenshot of these tweets, and then I created this post and I posted it to Facebook. I'm like, hey, how is this happening? How are people calling for the assassination of our president, but yet conservatives get censored? Okay, so I posted that yesterday morning around 8 a.m. while I was still in Austin, Texas. We had just finished our rally the day before in Austin, Texas, where we were helping angel families protest against the Texas government for border security. And we were there protesting and helping them try to ask for better legislation against illegals that are illegally invading our lands. So we did this great rally in Austin, Texas. And I want to tell you guys, I don't know if Anthony, I'm sure Anthony's told you. Actually, I know he's told you. There was very high security at that rally. There were many unmarked police cars. There was heavy police presence at the governor mansion, which I want the governor protected. I do. I want them protected. But there was a lot more than normal. Then they were flying a drone off the government building to the right of the mansion. They were flying a drone over us while we were holding our rally. So listen, take this into consideration. While there were angel families, sadly, telling their story about their children being murdered and how their children died, and explaining how their bones were broken and how there was blood coming out of their ears, and how the horrible story of one of them, Jared Vargas, who the illegal alien that killed him, poured gasoline all over him and set him on fire. Okay, these are the stories that these people are telling, holding a microphone and telling this story, and then yet we were considered the threat. They had a drone flying over us, a lot of police. It was so hard to comprehend. That's so hard to comprehend that at the Texas governor's mansion, the Texas government, that we, the American people, American taxpayers, helping these angel families get their stories out and fight for these illegals to be arrested, fight for them to stop coming in our country, help them fight back, and we're standing with them, but yet we're the threat. Do you understand? Do you understand where we're going? This is such a problem. We have major, major problems. So that's what happened on Saturday. Me, Anthony, Ben Berquam, Will Johnson, Chris Odette, and these 3 other angel families, and many people came and supported them. And the Patriotic American Cowboys, we all supported them. We did that on Saturday, you guys. The next morning, I made that Facebook post about crazy, horrible people making these tweets about assassinating our president, President Trump, who we now have this great economy in America. We have the lowest unemployment in 49 years, lowest Black unemployment ever, lowest Hispanic unemployment ever. We are respected in the world again. Our stock market makes record after record, practically day after day. It's unreal what is happening in America. So many American dollars have been brought back into our country, put back in our bank accounts. Companies are growing. They're hiring people again. Manufacturing is coming back to America. But yet these people are taking to Twitter and talking about assassinating him, calling for his assassination. And in the words of some young lady named Violet who lives in California, God bless her soul, she says, "Someone please kill him," in all caps. Yeah. So I posted that on my Facebook page and I said, please tell me, when was it ever okay to say these things? And it's before 2016. It's before President Trump came into office. And then guess what happened? I posted that at 8 o'clock in the morning. In the afternoon, by the time my plane landed in Atlanta, guess what? I was in Facebook jail. I'm banned for 3 days, and I'm warned. I'm on warning from Facebook that if I post anything else that goes against their community standards, I'm facing a potential complete ban. They're going to get me off the platform completely. That's the message they sent me. So I'll be completely banned. How is that possible? Do you see what's happening? Let me explain it to you guys. Did anyone ever see the movie The Purge? I'm sure you did. I mean, it's a famous movie. What is happening and what is starting on Facebook, it's been, censorship has been going on, but what's happening now is the purge, okay? It's the purge. Do you understand what that means? See, the Democrats, they want the White House in 2020. Not only do they want the White House in 2020, they also want full control of Congress. They want full control of the House of Representatives, and they want full control of the Senate. They have big, big plans for America. These are plans that were laid long ago, and I'm going to explain all of that to you. Now, what happened in 2016? The American people elected President Trump. We elected Donald J. Trump as our president. But do you know why? In part, it was because we could all talk about it on social media. We could say and explain, here's why I like him. Here's why I like Donald Trump. And put our public support out there, even though we were made fun of during the primary for supporting him. But it was because they saw people supporting him. Others saw us supporting him, and it encouraged others to support him. So you see, it grew. Now, they know their major mistake, and there's been many articles written about this. They know their major mistake in 2015 going into the 2016 presidential election. You know what it was? Allowing conservatives to have a voice. So now they want to completely silence our voice. They want us gone. And so that's what they're going to do. They're going to work very hard to get us. So the purge is happening. I want to explain it to you. Let's talk about it. It's already happening on a big, big level, and I'm going to give you some names. Okay, now, it was last week. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter. James Wood, do you know who James Wood? He's an actor. He's a famous actor, and he is very vocal in his support for President Trump and our Constitution, our American values and cultures and freedoms, and he does a great job, and he tweets constantly, and he just had so many followers, millions of followers. Okay, so they banned him. They banned him on Twitter last week. So here's what's happening. They have a plan to ban all of us. So the purge is going to happen where they're going to remove conservatives off of social media platforms. I'm going to tell you some other names that have been banned. Bear with me for just 1 minute. Okay, so here's let's talk about what did he tweet. What did he tweet? Let's see. He was told that he was violating their rules on abusive behavior. Abusive behavior. But yet on Twitter, I want to remind you, people can call for the assassination of our president, and that's not considered abusive behavior. Why is that? All right, let's find it out. James Wood. James Wood. He would tweet things like, pretty scary that there is a distinct possibility this could be real. Not likely, but in this day and age of absolute liberal insanity, it is at least possible. And he put a picture up of three men saying, we're making a woman's vote worth more by staying home. This was an advertisement for Democrats, an actual advertisement for Democrats that said, we're making a woman's vote worth more by staying home. It was men, liberal men, saying that they're going to stay home to make women's vote more. Because remember, to them, the future is all female. They want to wipe out men. What's coming from the Democrat Party and the people on the left? They are wiping out men. They do not want you anymore, men, and especially if you're white. But any conservative man, they want to get rid of you. So they had an actual advertisement saying that. James Wood says, pretty scary that there is a distinct possibility this could be real. Not likely, but in this day and age of absolute liberal insanity, it is at least possible. Okay, they didn't like that tweet of his. That's something that violates our community standards. Oh, but you can tweet about assassinating President Trump. That doesn't violate their community standards. And apparently doesn't violate Facebook's either. It's calling it out. See, Facebook gets angry if you call it out. If you call out the liberals wanting to assassinate Trump, they put me in jail for that. Yep. All right, so let's go down and talk about censorship. Now, here's what I want you to know. Twitter appears to have two sets of standards. All right, I'm getting this out of Breitbart News. These guys do a great job. I'm always happy with Breitbart. Twitter allowed a number of verified accounts to participate in doxing and violent threats against teenagers from Covington High School in January. That was just in January. Remember that? That kid is suing everybody, and I'm behind him. I hope he wins every penny. Senator Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, was on the receiving end of vicious, sexist Twitter abuse after she defended Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Oh, she crossed the line, didn't she? I want you guys to know something. Susan Collins didn't bow down to Nancy Pelosi on that one. She disobeyed the Queen, Nancy Pelosi, and therefore, what happened to her? She got bullied and attacked on Twitter and received horrible abuse on Twitter. For what? Defending Brett Kavanaugh, white male, white conservative male that got picked for the Supreme Court. How about that? Liberals are so kind and sweet and loving and all-inclusive, aren't they? Actor Peter Fonda said that Barron Trump, remember this one? No one should ever forget this one, should be taken away from Melania, his mother, and put in a cage with pedophiles. Fonda also called for Kirstjen Nielsen, who at that time was the head of Homeland Security, to be whipped. All right. That was Peter Fonda. Do you guys remember when he tweeted that? And that he did not, his Twitter page wasn't suspended. His Twitter page, he wasn't banned from Twitter, social media. The left actually, they didn't go into outrage over him calling for Trump's son, calling for Trump and Melania's son to be put in a cage with pedophiles. No, this is what comes and breathes out of these mouths of liberals, because they're loving and they're all inclusive, right? They love everyone. Really? Okay, so that happened. Now we've got Hollywood star Jim Carrey. Hollywood star Jim Carrey posted a drawing of Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. getting bludgeoned to death by an elephant last year. That tweet is still up. You guys, seriously, think this through. Jim Carrey, he's a famous actor. We've seen him in so many movies, and we love him and adore him in the roles that he's played in these Hollywood movies. But in reality, he's a monster, and he's into art. And so he created his own drawing of Don Jr. and Eric Trump, our president's two adult sons, of them being bludgeoned to death by an elephant. Twitter kept that up. It's still up. You should go look for it. You should go look for it, really. But you know what? When I post the tweets of people calling for the assassination of the president, no, Facebook bans me. They don't want that. And Twitter shadow bans all of us when we say anything positive about the president, when we praise anything that he's doing, when we fight back against this horrible hate and evil that comes out of the left, these horrible words. They're not loving and all-inclusive. They're not. They're just not. Okay, you know what happened in 2016? Remember how they just hated police officers? Well, on Twitter, there were various Twitter accounts that actually called and cheered for the shooting of police officers. This is how the left sees our law enforcement. AOC, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, so many of them, they want to get rid of ICE. They want to get rid of ICE. They want to defund it and fire every single one of them. Why? Because they want to protect their little precious illegals. Their precious illegals are so special to them. Why? Because they think they're guaranteed Democrat votes. And they need them desperately. Because in reality, the truth in America is, everyone, we don't support the Democrats. We don't. There's only several major areas that actually support the Democrats. Those are in high population centers in California and New York City. Those two areas basically is where you get so many of the votes that go to the popular vote that declared Hillary Clinton the winner with the popular vote. But yet Trump won the presidency. He won office with the Electoral College votes because he followed the rules. See, we have the Electoral College set up for a reason. It's set up so that every state is represented, so that every single person in the United States of America is represented, because we care about every single person. We don't want to divide people by their race, by their skin color, by their sexual orientation. We don't want to lie to them and brainwash them and let them think that they have to identify in a group in order to count. We believe in individualism. We believe every single American has a right to pursue happiness and is able to do it. And we want them to do it, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what their sexual orientation is, no matter what state they live in. Here's our message. We want people to come in our country legally, and then we want you to come in and pursue your American dream, but we want it done legally. That's our message. That's who we are. Now here's the left. Now the left, they lie. They paint us as haters. We're haters. We're racist. We're against immigration. We're against immigrants. We're against migrants. We're against undocumented workers. All this language to paint us to be horrible and mean and terrible. They want people to believe that people like me with my white skin and my blonde hair, they want people to believe that I don't like black people, or that or I might be homophobic. That's what the left wants people to believe. They want people to think that the white man is the enemy. That's what they want people to believe. It's insane, you guys. All of this is insanity, and that's how they want to destroy our country. So let's talk about what does our Bill of Rights say? Let's talk about the First Amendment, okay? Let me explain it to you guys, and let's fully understand it so you can really understand how badly our rights are being violated with censorship. Okay, the freedom of speech. Basically, the freedom of speech is the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. Guess where I found that definition right there? I went on my computer, I went right on Google, and I entered in, what did I search? I searched freedom of speech, and that's what popped up. Isn't that interesting? Google, who is also responsible for fighting back against people like Alex Jones and InfoWars, Google, who is also responsible for writing algorithms where all left-leaning Democrat and liberal views, websites, news, media companies will get pushed to the top of the search that you search for, and all the conservative views will be pushed back pages later. See, most people only look at like the first 3 to 5 search results when they search something on Google. So that was a very clever move by Google to push liberal and left-leaning views. Okay, they have algorithms for that. So it kind of cracked me up that I went on Google and I put in freedom of speech, and it said Google's definition is the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. So that's what the the social media giants and the internet companies out of Silicon Valley believe. So they believe it's our right to express any opinion without censorship or restraint. Well, I think that's really funny because what is exactly happening to us? We are being censored, right? We're being censored heavily. I bet so many of you watching this video right now have been put in Facebook jail before. And not just one time, probably plenty of times. Yep, that's right. James Wood, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, Paul Watson. That's a great list. Yep. All of those people are just a small list of people. Did you know there was many more before that? Let me explain. If you attack Islam in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be censored badly. Not only will you be censored, you'll be kicked off as quick as possible. That's the number one rule in social media world. Don't say anything bad about Islam. Shh. You can't say bad things about Islam. You can't tell the truth. You can't tell the truth about what jihad really is. You can't tell the truth about when a woman wears a hijab, how it's really a tool to keep her down, keep her under control. The burqa, what is that? It's demeaning, it's demoralizing. You can't even show your face in public. But if you say those things, shh, you have to be real quiet about them because you will get kicked off really quick. And yet, here's something funny. United States pop culture, think about this. They are embracing it. They are wrapping their arms around Islam as fast as possible. Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition just came out last week, and one of their premier models is a young Muslim girl. She's beautiful. And guess what she's wearing in the swimsuit edition of this year's Sports Illustrated? She's wearing a burkini. And I want you to think about this. That is brought to you by the very publication, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit, that year after year has published women in scantily clad bathing suits where their private parts are barely covered. That Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, that's what they're all about. But yet, there's a new agenda. You gotta embrace Islam. So now they're putting those women on there with burkinis. Okay? That's the reality. You have to understand where everything's coming from. So I find it interesting that Google, coming out of Silicon Valley, feels and says on its page that freedom of speech is the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. Okay, and I want to tell you guys, if you guys are just joining on, my name's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm in major Facebook jail right now because I posted tweets. People had tweeted about assassinating the president on my Facebook page. And I asked, how is this being allowed? And we get censored all the time. Facebook banned me for that one. Okay, so that's a big problem. It's a big problem for all of us. That means that they support and believe in that kind of viewpoint. If they're taking me, taking my post down where I was saying this is wrong, why is this being protected? How are people saying this? They couldn't say it before 2016, but how are they saying it now? And that's what my post read. But yet I get banned in Facebook for that. Think about it. We have a big problem. So I'm talking about that, but I'm also digging in to what our First Amendment says, because it's important to know, you got to know what your freedoms are. Okay, so let's move on to what it really says. What does the First Amendment really say? It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Ooh, I have a little something to say about that too. So that's our First Amendment, you guys. It guarantees many, many things. It guarantees our freedom of religion. It guarantees our freedom of speech, our freedom of press, our right to assemble, which is so important. That means we're assembling right now. We should have the freedom to assemble, and we're assembling right now. I'm discussing our freedom of speech. You guys are discussing in your comments. So we are assembling right now. This is our right in America. It also guarantees us the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Guess that's what we did on Saturday in Austin, Texas. We petitioned our government. We stood in front of the governor's mansion because my friend and veteran Chris Odette has not been able to meet with the governor no matter how hard he's tried. His daughter, Krisha, was murdered when she was 13 years old by an illegal alien, and that guy was let out on bond for $10,000, and he hasn't come back. So we were petitioning the government, but yet we were faced with a massive security presence and had drones flying over our head, looking at us and listening to us. It's pretty interesting, right? And let me tell you something. That permit for that rally we had on Saturday was the most difficult permit process I've ever been through organizing a rally. Because here's what they want to do in Texas. Texas, the great Lone Star State. Texas, which we perceive to be the strongest state in America, standing up for America. It's where the Alamo was. It's where the Alamo is. It's where Davy Crockett, they defended America at the Alamo. We love Texas. We love Texas so much. But the Texas government makes it very hard, very, very hard to protest and stand up and talk to them about things. To do it at the Capitol, we originally wanted to do it at the Capitol. Guess what their requirement was? We had to get our permit, we had to get our petition or our paperwork signed by someone, a representative in the state legislature of Texas. So basically, we had to get permission from the government to protest the government. That's what it was in Texas. So we couldn't even get one. We tried. We tried many, many state legislators in the state of Texas, and we couldn't get one. So we ended up having to get a permit in the Constable parking lot across the street from the governor's mansion. That's the truth. That's how crazy this is. But what does our First Amendment say? Our First Amendment, our Bill of Rights, guarantees us to be able to petition the government for a redress of grievances. It shouldn't have been that complicated, everyone. It shouldn't have been, but it is, because we have problems. We have problems. Our freedoms are under attack. Okay, so let's talk about the freedom of speech. Now, freedom of speech, we have the right to express our views. However, Facebook says that they have to keep community guidelines, they have to keep their community standards, and they want to control everyone's behavior there. They control you and everything you say down to the detail. And then they have algorithms written where if you post about certain things, your post that you made will be pushed down so far in its reach that hardly anybody will see it. I'm not kidding. Here's one for you. I'm going to tell you guys a secret, and this is terrible. If you post anything about Alex Jones or InfoWars, guess what's going to happen to your page? First off, your post will hardly be seen, if it's seen at all. It'll be shadow banned. Secondly, for weeks after that, it is likely that your page will not have very good reach, meaning that all your other posts, no matter what you post about, you can post about puppies and kittens and food and other articles and whatever, your new shoes, whatever you're posting about, and those posts may not reach as many people as they normally would if you had not said Alex Jones or InfoWars, because they hate him the most right now. They are trying to destroy this guy, okay? Now, here's another secret. I want to tell you another word that you'll get in big, big trouble, and it will also affect your post reach, and it'll also affect what is seen on your page. The word is illegal. And if you combine it with illegal alien, and if you combine it with illegal alien invasion, let me tell you something. That post will push your reach down so far, and it will be affected for weeks. Now, I know this for a fact based on experience. There's a certain company I work for and write articles for, and when they published a fantastic article that I wrote about the border security, and I discussed illegal aliens because that's what they are, and I discussed all those things, guess what happened? Guess what happened? It affected their page, which has hundreds of, I don't know how many they have, maybe 1 million or more. Their page was so affected for 3 weeks that all of their news they put out and all of their posts they put out were hardly seen because of my article that I had written about the border and sharing the truth about what's happening. And do you want to know where I got all this information from? Anthony. I got it from Anthony, this very page I'm talking to you from. Because my friend Anthony's my dear, dear friend. I love him so much. He's one of the greatest guys I know. Let me talk to you guys about Anthony. I know you love him and you're on this page. Every single day and every single night, he risks his life to bring you the information he brings you. I'm not kidding. I've been there with him. He goes all over in places most people would never, ever go to video, collect information, do live videos, and bring it to all of us. He brings information that our major, rich news media companies will never, ever bring to you. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all of these major news stations, they're not going to tell you the things Anthony is showing you. Anthony's not just telling you, he is flat out showing you, okay? So listen, Anthony is my great, great friend. He's one of my best friends. I am telling all of you, support this man. Support him. If he has a way to take donations, donate to him. Help him. We have to protect Anthony, keep him safe, keep him going, because the information he's bringing is beyond relevant. It is crucial for us as American citizens. Now, someone else that works with Anthony, Oscar. Oscar's another one that's bringing you guys incredible information from Mexico, from Tijuana. I had a great conversation with Oscar last week. He told me things I sort of kind of knew, but he verified them. And then he gave me more detail, and I was shocked. Oscar's doing a great job. He's down there in Tijuana. Support him too. And they work together, they coordinate together, and they work on incredible projects. There's going to be a project coming out soon that's going to blow your mind. I've already got to see a little piece of it. I'm so excited for it. I cannot wait. It is incredible. So Anthony today, let me tell you guys, Anthony, since I'm banned on my Facebook page, he said, get on my Facebook page, let's do a jailbreak, and you can get your story out. So he's letting me come here and tell my story to you. And it's so important because my story is your story, you guys. We're all the same. Okay? I'm just an American woman. I'm no different than most of you. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or you don't even care about politics. Honestly, we're all the same. And our freedom of speech is under attack. Now, if you vote Democrat, you might think, I could care less because I don't like your opinions and your views. And that might be how you feel. But what you need to understand is you should care. And the reason why you should care is if our opinions and views, which are just pro-American interest, pro-American people, but if our views and opinions are being censored and fought down, that means that your views can too eventually, okay? That means if you disagree eventually, you could also be censored. See, here's the difference, okay? I usually vote Republican. I am a conservative constitutional American. I believe in our Constitution, I believe in our Bill of Rights, and I believe in very small government. I don't want a gigantic big federal government. That's a socialist. Our federal government is already a socialist government, and I'm going to tell you why. You're not going to believe this is information most people don't know, or most people don't talk about, or most people haven't learned about, okay? I want to tell you some information about why I'm saying we're already a socialist government. Here's why. We are $22 trillion in debt. $22 trillion. That is an amount of money that none of us can honestly understand. Seriously, $22 trillion. Every single year, our federal government, the people that we elect to serve us in Congress, overspend our money. And they spend it on all kinds of things, crazy things. But they also spend it on entitlement programs. Entitlement programs are socialism. Now, an entitlement program, I'll give you an example of one that you're hearing a lot about now, is what? Medicare for all. Medicare for all. It's Bernie Sanders' major platform. It's also a platform, Bernie Sanders is like the main one saying it, but all the rest of the Democrats agree with it, okay? Right now we have, what do we have? 18 or 19? I don't know how many there are. Democrat candidates for the primary, for the DNC. For president. There's like 18 or so people running for president for the United States of America in 2020. They're all going to battle it out in the primary. But here's what you want to know. They all agree with each other. They all back the Green New Deal, right? AOC's stupid socialist program. They all back it. Eric Swalwell, that's running for president as a Democrat, he's one of them. He has a major gun control plan. As a matter of fact, his platform that he's running on is to wipe out the Second Amendment virtually. He wants to put in place through an executive order, a presidential executive order, a buyback program that will buy back all semi-automatic guns and buy back all assault weapons. Well, let me tell you something. For anyone that doesn't know anything about guns, and that's totally okay, you might not know, but a semi-automatic weapon that sounds really scary is actually every single gun. Almost all guns. The gun that I conceal carry every single day, which is really small and fits in my hand, is a semi-automatic weapon. It is. And it's a little bitty handgun. It's not the big scary machine gun that you see in the Hollywood movies and people are so afraid of and the liberals freak out over. That's not what a semi-automatic weapon is. A semi-automatic weapon, it just means it reloads its bullets in the chamber. How about that? So they want to take away virtually all guns. He wants to write a presidential order to buy back all your guns and force you to sell your guns to the government with your own tax dollars. How insulting is that? That means that Eric Swalwell, if he's elected president, wants to write a presidential order to use all of our tax dollars to destroy our Second Amendment. Force us to sell our guns to the government so they can be destroyed using our tax dollars. This is an outrage. This is what he's running for. You can look it up, Eric Swalwell. He's running for president. But here's the thing. It's not just, oh, crazy Eric Swalwell. This is all of them. It's all of them. They want this. All the Democrats want a gun buyback program, like they did in New Zealand after the shooting. This is facts that you've got to know. These are so important to know. Nancy Pelosi What did she say after the New Zealand shooting? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was before that. Ha! It was before the New Zealand shooting. It was when President Trump fought back for the border and he shut down the government pushing border security, right? He said, we want the wall. We want the wall, and I am not signing the budget. We're going to shut down the government until I get funding for the wall. Remember what Nancy Pelosi's response, one of her responses was? Well, you want to do this? If you want to write, and then his presidential order to fund the wall, remember that? She said, fine. You want to write a presidential order for a wall at the southern border of America? Next time, a Democrat president will write a presidential order for gun control to take the guns away. She's on record saying that. Look that up. So it's not just crazy Eric Swalwell. It's all of them. They all want to do this. And they want to take away our freedom of speech. They're destroying it. But let's talk about socialism. Socialism is the main agenda of the Democrat Party. They have a fancy, cute little word for it. They like to call it democratic socialism. Oh, it's totally different than the scary socialism because it's democratic socialism. Really? It's not any different at all. Here's what you need to understand. Socialism is socialism. It doesn't make it any different because you call it democratic socialism. The only difference is, I'll tell you the one difference, is it's socialism being shoved down our throats by the Democrats. That's why they can call it democratic socialism. All right, socialism's already here. Let me explain this to you guys. It started a long time ago, long time ago with the New Deal. That's when socialism really started. But then it really kicked in. It really kicked in with President Lyndon Johnson. Now, a lot of you might not know this. This isn't something you may read about. I enjoy this stuff. So this was in the 1960s. Now, President Lyndon Johnson, how do we get him, by the way? Come on, I want to hear something. I want to see one of you say it. How did we get President Lyndon Johnson for president? Somebody died. Somebody was murdered. Come on, you guys. I'm looking for something here. President Kennedy, right? President Kennedy. He was assassinated. Isn't that how we got President Lyndon Johnson? I'm just throwing that out. I'm pretty sure that's right. President Lyndon Johnson, he was the son, President Lyndon Johnson's son's Great Society. Great Society. See, they always like to call it something really pretty, something fun and accepting. Great Society. Beginning in 1964, Johnson put forth his plan for health care security for the elderly, Medicare, for the poor, Medicaid. Those programs laid the groundwork for the Supplemental Security Income, SSI, aid to women and infant children, WIC, W-I-C, temporary aid to needy families, TANF, or your basic welfare program, and SHIP, S-C-H-I-P, which was an expansion of the food stamp program. You guys, all of those entitlements, to be honest with you, though that is socialism. That's where socialism started in America. That's not what our country is about. Our country is founded on freedom. We, the people of the United States of America, we ratified the Constitution when it was written, okay? We declared war against a tyrannical king in 1776. We defeated that king and the greatest military army, navy in the world. We, the people of the United States, did that. Then we ratified the Constitution and we created the federal government. Do you know what that means? We created the federal government. That means the federal government is our creature. That means we should control the federal government. But the reality is the federal government is out of control. It is a gigantic monster that is all it has been doing is feeding its face with our income, with our, through taxes, and creating itself to be bigger and bigger and bigger because it's out of control. Congress is out of control. The very people that we elect and we put in Congress, they are the ones that are feeding that creature and making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's so big, it's out of control. It created socialism years ago, under Lyndon Johnson, under President Lyndon Johnson. Think about this, seriously. All of these entitlement programs are in place. I want to explain the difference because here's what you may not understand. it might sound scary or bad of me to say that these welfare programs, WIC, that food stamp programs, Medicare, Medicaid, are bad programs. It may make me sound like I'm a bad person and I don't care about the poor people or the elderly. And that's not true at all. I care very much about poor people and elderly. I love people. I absolutely love people. I want to see everyone helped. I want to see everyone succeed. But these programs don't do that. They don't do it at all. They hold them down in poverty. That's what they do. And they crush free enterprise. Let me explain. Free enterprise, free trade. When you have free trade and you have it going across state lines and you have private enterprise, then you are creating a huge program. You're creating a massive economy. You're building jobs and you're able to provide good things for people. But when President Lyndon Johnson, through the Great Society, created these entitlement programs, it caused the federal government to grow and grow and grow. And that is where our budget started to get out of control. Now, here, I'm going to explain. Let's talk about this. Here's what he said. In his Great Society speech, Johnson told America that as a wealthy nation, we could afford to ease the healthcare plight of these two categories of Americans. What is he talking about? Elderly and the poor. He's talking about Medicare and Medicaid. By 1990, he assured us, citing easily quantified user statistics, this is in his original speech, that Medicare would cost us only $9 billion. Oh, thank you, President Johnson. $9 billion, that's not so bad. Medicaid, only $1 billion. That's what President Johnson promised us. But guess what? That's not what happened. That promise didn't stay true. In 1990, Medicare cost us not $9 billion, but $110 billion. Yeah, that's the truth. At the federal level, Medicaid cost not $1 billion like President Johnson promised in his speech, but it costs $41 billion. This is back in the 1990s, everybody. It's in the 1990s. Now, think about this. This is the same thing that happened with all these entitlement programs. There's unintended consequences to these programs. They start out warm and fuzzy, like a great idea on how to take care of people, but then they grow out of control because they're mismanaged by our federal government. And they grow and grow and grow, and then they tax us more and more and more, and now we're $22 trillion in debt. $22 trillion in debt. Seriously, think about that. The Social Security has been robbed. It had its own fund. All the money that all of us pay for our retirement into Social Security was a completely separate fund. And then guess what happened? Our elected people in Congress, because they needed more money, because they were spending crazy amounts of money, said, oh, no. Let's start getting money. We can get more money for our crazy pork spending and our insane research projects, and we can get more money that we can send to Mexico and send in federal aid dollars to all these countries in the world. All we got to do is we start pulling it out of the people's retirement money out of Social Security. So they rob Social Security and take money out of Social Security and put it into other programs. That's our retirement dollars, everyone. You know what it should be? You should have the freedom to invest your Social Security savings money. You should have your own account, just like a health savings account. You should have your own account where the money that is yours, that you worked so hard for and your employer set aside and had to pay into the Social Security system on your behalf, you should have control over your money in your own account, and you should be able to invest it as you wish. Imagine that. Imagine if you had the freedom to invest those Social Security dollars, and you could increase your return on your investment, and then you would have more money once you retired. Instead of scraping in a measly, $700 a month, maybe at best $1,300 a month. It's not much. It's not much to live on. It's horrible. This is what the federal government has done. They have mismanaged our money. mismanaged our tax dollars that they take from us by force, by the way, because it's a law for you to pay your taxes. And they've mismanaged them, and they've already created socialism. The Great Society by President Johnson was the beginning, the real beginning of socialism in our country. Now, what the Democrats want to do is they want to nail the heads on the nails of the coffin of socialism for America. That's the plan. That's what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is planning to do. That's what that Green New Deal is all about. That's why she called it that. I really want you to think about that name. The New Deal. The New Deal. When did that come out? Roosevelt, right? Long, long ago. What was it, in the 1930s, I think? Was it 1934? That's when the New Deal came out. I don't know the specific year because I don't have it in front of me. But that's when the New Deal came out. It was supposed to be revitalizing to our economy after the stock market crash in the 20s. It was supposed to pick things back up, right? And it did. It did, because our government was building new programs and paying people to work and building our infrastructure. So it was a good idea, but there were unintended consequences from that. The unintended consequences was the beginning of socialism. It was the federal government getting involved in places it shouldn't be involved. And then President Johnson did the Great Society in the 60s. And then, what do we have? Massive debt now, massive spending, massive federal debt. But it's going to keep going because they have the democratic socialists who are really socialist. They're just introducing it to you. See, they've already been doing it to you, but now they have to use nice little terms so that you're able to swallow it down and accept it. Because the reality is, socialism has killed millions of people throughout the world in all these countries who embraced it. And that happened just in the last 100 years. That's the truth. That is the truth. And right now in Venezuela, if you guys really think about it and you really want to watch the news and your eyes open, look at what is happening to the poor people in Venezuela because they embrace socialism. And let me explain something to you. They used to own guns, but they gave them up. They gave them up to their government when socialism started in their country. Just like the Democrat Party wants to write a presidential executive order to buy back your guns and my guns. That's how it starts. All the signs are there, and they're flat out saying it to us. They're saying it with the words democratic socialism. How do you get to democratic socialism? How do you get to socialism? You drip it in little by little, and they've already done that. They did it in the last century. When was the 1960s? A long time ago. That was before I was born. Seriously. They've brought it in little by little. And then they have to make you feel warm and fuzzy about it. Oh, we're taking care of people. They're not taking care of people. They're about to completely control you. How do they control you? They take away your freedom of speech. They take away your right to express your opinion. That's what they've done to me on Facebook. That's what they've done to many of you on Facebook. They stop you from, they make you silent. You can't complain anymore. Or the complainers, like me and Anthony, and others, they shut us up. So other people like you can't hear us tell you the truth and point out, this is bad, everybody. What happens when there's a fire in the building? Somebody sees the fire and calls the fire department. Help, help, there's a fire in the building. Help, please send the fire trucks. Please come help us put out the fire. Okay, that's me. That's Anthony. That's others. We're yelling, we see smoke. Not only do we see smoke, we see a fire. And we're calling for help and we're trying to tell everyone, but there's silence in us. They don't want our voices out there. They don't want it. They don't want you to know. So that's the purge. The purge is already starting. By 2020, the plans for social media platforms like this one that we're talking on right now is to get rid of people like me. They've already gotten rid of people like Alex Jones. I don't know if Laura Loomer's still on here or not. I think she's back on here now, but she's already been beat off. But she's back on temporarily. But all these conservatives and people like me, they're going to silence us down and figure out algorithms to shut us up. So that's the first step. Silence the troublemakers. Silence the ones that are yelling. What's the next step? Buy the election. That is already in progress. Buying the presidential election of 2020 is already in progress. How? Well, I witnessed it firsthand with my very dear friend Anthony when he took me to the border in El Paso, and we watched, no lie, an average of 25 buses. I counted 25. The next night, there were more than that. We watched school buses come up the highway. They come up the Pan American Highway. If you don't know what the Pan American Highway is, look it up after this. It is a highway, when it gets up to Texas, it's called Highway 45. Highway 45 is a direct route that goes from Guatemala all the way up through Mexico City and goes up straight up to El Paso. Highway 45. We were sitting literally on the U.S. side, right there on the other side in El Paso, where Highway 45 comes up and meets the United States. We watched school bus after school bus drop off people, massive amount of people in these neighborhoods in Juarez, just on the other side of the border. Watch them, and you know how long it took? You have to wrap your brain around this. It took about 40 minutes. 40 minutes, school bus after school bus, dropping these people off. 40 minutes. There are thousands of people. Yes, there was a night where there were 70 buses. That's right. He counted them. There are thousands of people invading our country every single day. That's how you buy Democrat votes. They have a whole system in place where they have the NGOs down there. Those are non-government organizations, like the Annunciation House. Anthony tells you about that one. Like the Salvation Army. These are organizations that are nonprofits that receive state and federal funding and many, many donations, and they go down to take care of the family units that are coming across the border. The family units are coming across the border. Here's the whole, this is how you buy votes, okay? It's a big, big process. They're coming across the border because of the Flores Agreement. All right, the Flores Agreement came out of a court case in the 1990s. I think it was Nines versus Flores. I believe that was the name of it. That defined how migrants, unaccompanied minors who are children coming across the border without a parent, without an adult, they're unaccompanied, that defined how they should be treated. Of course, we want children treated well. I mean, absolutely. You want children protected and taken care of. I do. I totally do. But, however, in 2015, a liberal judge out of California on the Ninth Circuit made a court ruling using that court case, Nines versus Flores, and here's what changed things. All those rules that applied for the unaccompanied minors in the Flores Agreement now apply for a family unit. So see, it's been like a magnet. That new ruling in 2015 gave a giant message everyone down in Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, telling them, hey, you want to come into the U.S., you need a kid. You need a kid, and you better get a kid, because if you want to stay in the U.S., you want to get treated different than you normally would be treated. You need a child. And so the result of that has been terrible human trafficking for children. Children are being recycled around. They are recycled through the border. If they get deported back, they get handed off to someone else that uses them to come back in because it might be their chance to get to stay. That's what's happening to children, and that's something that we should stand up for. Also, here, I want to explain this to you. The school buses that we saw dropping all these people off, they come from Guatemala. Now, here's an interesting thing. I found an article, and I sent it to Anthony. I don't know if he shared it or not. But our school buses in the United States, old school buses that they don't use anymore, are sold at auto auctions. So people from Mexico and Guatemala, they come into the U.S. and they're just buying, they're buying and going to an auto auction. They buy these school buses. They take them back to Mexico, back down to Guatemala, specifically Guatemala, where individuals own these school buses, and they fix them back up and they make them look like a party bus. I mean, everyone looks different. They're painted. Some of them are really cool looking. They have graffiti. They make them look incredible. And they put these neon lights all over, all in the top, all on the inside. Those are the buses that we saw. I'm not kidding you. I saw them with my own eyes. Anthony sees them nearly every night. Those buses that were bought in the United States at auto auctions were taken to Guatemala, fixed up. Those were the buses that we saw dropping off in Juarez on the other side of the border, dropping these people off to come into our country. Now, here's what I want to tell you something else. Oscar explained this to me. He said, yeah, it's a whole system. Anthony told me this too. It's a whole system. So they get it, they buy their way on the school bus, but you may not be able to buy your way. So if you don't have enough money to buy your way, this is where the cartels come in. The cartels make money hand in hand with the human trafficking, getting people across the border, and getting drugs across the border. So the cartels are down there in Guatemala, and they're like, hey, listen, it's okay if you don't have the money to get on the bus to go to the U.S., I'm going to help you out. Here's a backpack. You take this backpack with you, you get it across the border, and you deliver it to whoever my guy is. You get it to where I need you to get it to go, and you can ride that school bus for free. You can ride that party bus and make your way up the Pan American Highway, up Highway 45, straight into the U.S. They're going to drop you off, and then we've got people there to help you get across. That's the truth. That is exactly what they do. The cartels run the entire show. The cartels run Mexico. See, this is an industry. Here's why it makes sense to me, because I'm a business owner. That's all I've ever done. I've never worked for anyone else. I've always worked for myself. I've always owned my own companies. It makes sense to me that you run this system just like this. If you're the cartel and your business is drugs, it makes sense to make your business human trafficking, because those people that want to come into our country for jobs, they do. They want jobs and money. That's why they're coming. They're not coming because they really need asylum. They're not coming because there's a civil war in Guatemala, because there's not. They're not coming because there's a civil war in El Salvador, because there's not. That's not the problem. They're coming for jobs and money. Okay, that's a human basic need. That's what they're doing. That's the truth. So they are being brought up, and the cartel is brilliant. They're combining a need, which is all these people, their need to get in the U.S., and saying, you know what? This is a perfect delivery method for our drugs that we need to get across the border. See, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And then if you're the cartel, what else do you need? You need certain people in your pocket. You need certain people like the president of Mexico. You need him in your pocket, because you need him on board. You need the police in Mexico. You need the military in Mexico to be in your pocket, because you are moving. You are transporting your goods, okay? So let's talk about companies in the United States. When they transport their goods throughout the United States, and they're moving their products and they're transporting their goods from one place to the next, how do they get paid? They get paid by their customer if their goods, their products, arrive to their customer in good condition, if they arrive on time, if their customer is satisfied, right? That's how in the United States, any kind of shipping company, any kind of manufacturing company that's selling their goods has to transport their products and get them to their customer, satisfy their customer. They send them a bill, the customer pays them. That's business. I mean, it's fantastic. But for the cartels, it's a little more difficult, because what they are doing is against the law. So that's why they need help. They need the police, the military, the Mexican president, the governments, the towns, the mayors, all of these people. They need them on board. That requires money. So they have to buy all these people off. They have to do special favors. I don't know what all they do. I'm not going to talk about it, but they do those things. And then they put the two industries together, human trafficking and drugs, drug trafficking. Put them together, they work beautifully together. That's what's happening to the United States of America. Now, how does that involve the Democrat Party? It's providing them with votes. Now, what have the Democrats done? They have passed laws like sanctuary policies everywhere. Sanctuary policies. What does sanctuary do? It protects illegals. It protects migrants, undocumented workers. I don't want to use the wrong term. It protects them from being deported. It protects them from the law. It protects it. That's the bottom line. It protects them. Sanctuary protects people that are in our country who shouldn't be, who broke our laws to be here. That's the truth. That's what sanctuary does. And by doing that, what is the Democrats are saying? We're taking care of you. We're providing you with protection. We are keeping you from being kicked out of America. It's the mean, bad Republicans. They want to kick you out. They don't want you to be able to work. They don't want you to be able to make money. They want you to go back to your country. They don't want to help you. But we're the Democrats. We want to help you. We're giving you sanctuary. And then, guess what the Democrats did? They passed more laws, like the right for these people to be able to get driver's licenses. So in California and other places like Chicago, and quite a few more places than you might realize, they are able to get a ID card or a driver's license. And then when they get their driver's license, they can register to vote. That is what the Democrats are doing. They're buying votes. Now, why did they need to do this? There was an essential reason they had to do this. There's been a lot happening to the typical Democrat voter since President Trump has been elected. See, President Trump is actually doing the things that he said he was going to do. He said he was going to help our economy. He said he was going to help our businesses. He said he was going to make America great again, and it's actually happening. Actually happening. I'm going to remind you guys, we have the best economy that we've had in decades. We have the lowest unemployment, overall lowest unemployment in 49 years. We have the lowest black unemployment ever. We have the lowest Hispanic unemployment ever. Many, many companies that had manufacturing companies in other countries have brought them back to the United States. So much money that was kept overseas has been repatriated back in the United States. See, that has fed our economy, and it's wonderful. Now, a lot of people are seeing through that and saying, you know what? I like this guy. I like President Trump. I'm probably going to walk away from the Democrat Party. This has actually happened. You want to know something? This has actually happened largely in the black population and in the Hispanic population. They are realizing that President Trump is not this mean, angry, nasty, racist, horrible person that the media and the Democrats told him that he was. He's not. He's for every single American, for all of us to do well. And that is what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Even though they try to destroy him every single day, he's doing a great job. So many black Americans have seen through that. They're like, yeah, I like this economy. I like this guy. I want to have a good job. I want to do well for myself. Many Hispanics are seeing the same thing, and they're walking away in large numbers. See, the Democrats are smart. They do polling. They spend a lot of money to understand where voters are. So do the Republican Party, but I think the Democrats are really good at it. I give them a lot of credit. They do really well at winning elections. Even though, honestly, I'm going to tell you, they cheat a lot of times. They steal the elections. There's a lot of problems there. We have major issues with how we vote. We need secure elections. So they figured out that, we have a big problem in the black community who we have controlled for the longest time. Because why? Let's talk about President Johnson again. Remember that guy? President Lyndon Johnson, the one I was telling you about with the Great Society, where socialism really started in America with all of our entitlement plans. Okay, President Johnson is famous for saying a particular quote. President Johnson, with this creation of the Great Society, see, it was a whole plan. It's a whole plan. He had a very particular plan. He was targeting the black community, the black voters, because up until then, up until the 1960s, do you know who the party was for the black community? It was the Republicans. The Republicans were the ones that gave them their right to vote. The Republicans were the ones that always voted in favor for good things for black Americans. The Democrats were the one against them. The Democrats were the party of the KKK. Lyndon Johnson is on record with his creation of these programs saying that he will have those N-word, and I'm not going to say it, he will have those N-word voting Democrat for the next 200 years, I think he said. That's what President Johnson said. So the Democrats know they have a problem. Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, many of the subgroups, even the gay community, a lot of them are turning conservative like you wouldn't believe. They're turning conservative fiscally. They're turning conservative because they love our economy. They're turning Republican and being Trump supporters because they see through the Democrat Party because they're the party of hate and lies. See, people are waking up. So the Democrat Party figured out through their polling data, we have a problem. We want to win 2020 and we're going to need votes. So when the border issue has come up like it has big time, because what was Trump's, one of his major campaign promises was to build a wall, right? President Trump is against drugs. He's very much against drugs. He wants to stop the drug problem in America. Building a wall and securing the southern border is a big part of that process. So the border security has been a top priority legislative item of his. So look at what's happened. The border issue got pushed. The Democrat Party realized we have a problem. That is a voting source of ours. We've set these people up. We're giving them sanctuary in our states and cities. We are giving them driver's license and the ability to get an ID card and the ability to vote, which is unimaginable. They're giving people that aren't even citizens in our country who don't even pay taxes the right to vote. So when the border and border security and building a wall started becoming really big and popular among the American people, like it still is, they realized this is not good for us. If he shuts down the border, if he stops this steady flow of people that are coming across the border that we're trying to protect, and we have invested millions and millions of dollars. We've invested our votes. We've written laws to take care of them and protect them and to brainwash them into believing that the Democratic Party is the party for them. See, that's going to mess it up. The wall, the border wall, and border security, stopping drugs and human trafficking across the border, across the United States border, messes up the Democrat plan for votes. That's why they fight against it so hard. They need those votes. So that's another part of the plan to move America to socialism in 2020. And it's not just moving us to socialism, it's finishing it. Because you have to brainwash the public. It doesn't just happen, boom, we're going to be socialists. That's not how anything happens. They have to condition you and condition you and condition you and get you to accept it. So they started way back in the 60s with the entitlement programs of the Great Society. And then they started conditioning people that they need to be taken care of, which I'm firmly against. I believe in people. I believe in all of you. I believe in myself. I believe that I am capable of taking care of myself, and I'm responsible enough and hardworking enough to do it. I don't think it has a skin color. I don't think it has a sexual preference. I think it is a human ability, and I want all of us to have the freedoms to do it. I don't care if you're brown, purple, with stripes that are every color of the rainbow. I don't care if that's what your skin looks like. That doesn't matter to me. I want you to be able to achieve, to be successful, to work hard, to have opportunities, because that's what's guaranteed to every single American in the United States of America. That's guaranteed us by our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. That's what makes America great. That's what we want. But the Democrat Party doesn't want that. They've conditioned people to believe that the government has to take care of them. I want you to think about feminists. Let me throw this one at you. Modern day militant feminists, the same ones that shout their abortion. Have you heard about that? The Shout Your Abortion movement. Shout Your Abortion is a movement where women come together. It comes out of Portland, Oregon. It is the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. They actually stand up or they make videos. They do it in stand-up comedy style. That's a lot of the videos I've seen where they tell their abortion stories. They make fun of the babies they aborted. They make fun of their boyfriends that tried to stop them from aborting their babies. And they shout their abortion stories because they want everyone to know that abortion is okay. The Democrat Party is also the party that wanted to pass a law that says you can murder a baby after it survives an abortion. While it's lying there after being born, they want the doctors to be able to kill it. That's the Democrat Party. So in Portland, Oregon, this movement came out, Shout Your Abortion. So these feminists, these are the feminists I'm talking about. These are the same feminists. They want to be able to kill their babies. They want to take away your guns because guns are really bad and scary and no one should have a gun. Guns don't get up and kill people, you guys. Bad people pick up a gun and kill people. I just want to clarify that's the truth. How do you stop a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun, okay? That's your Second Amendment right. Don't be afraid of guns. If you're going to have a gun, learn how to use it, take classes, be smart, be responsible, but it's your responsibility to protect yourself. Feminists are scared of that. They don't want you to have guns. These crazy feminist women who want all these things and talk about love and acceptance, but yet they hate President Trump, they hate conservatives, they want us banned, they want us silenced, and they actually will call for the assassination of our president. Those are the feminists. These very same feminists that claim they're for women's rights and women's health care, those very same women, they want socialism. Because here's the truth. They're too weak and pathetic to take care of themselves. They want a great, big, giant government to take care of them. It's such a hypocrisy. They claim that they want the future to be female, but they aren't capable of taking care of themselves. They want a government to do it for them. They're the ones screaming and pushing for socialism. That's the truth. That's where we are in this country. They want socialism. So the Democrats condition people to think that they need a big, giant federal government to take care of them, and it's a lie. They condition poor people to think they have to stay on welfare, and they have to live in the projects, and they need food stamps in order to survive. And that's a lie. Where these same poor people with education and opportunity could easily raise themselves and lift themselves out of poverty and leave the projects and not have to rely on the government and not have to rely on welfare or food stamps. That's the truth. The Democrats lie to them and tell them they need the federal government. They need the Democrat Party. That's a lie, and I don't believe that, and neither should any of you. Here's something else. All of our senior citizens who depend so much on their Social Security checks, they were screwed. All of these great hardworking people that worked all their lives and the government took money from them and called it Social Security. Isn't that funny? Social security, socialism, because that's what it is. They took your money and then they mismanaged it. And then they passed a law so they could steal your money and put it in the general fund. But they're the Democrat Party that's going to take care of you. See, that's a lie too. It's horrible. Let me tell you something else. The Board of Education with the federal government, the great big Board of Education, who is now in our schools, Planned Parenthood. Do you understand this? You probably don't even know this. Look this up. Planned Parenthood writes sex ed curriculum. And it is being taught in many schools. It's teaching the very gender lies that are confusing children and erasing God's truth that God created all of us, male or female. That's the basic truth. We can take God and the Bible out of it, and we can just look at the chromosomes alone. There's only two types. You got XX and XY. That's the truth, chromosomes. So we can take the Bible and God out of it and look at the chromosomes alone. Science tells us there's only two genders. But Planned Parenthood and the liberal agenda and the left and the Democrats don't want our children to know the truth. They want to erase gender, and they want to teach that there's as many genders as you want there to be, that it's how you feel. They want to tell our kids that, oh, there is a biological gender. There's male and female. They have to get around it somewhere. But gender is also how you feel. And that's not true. You know, a lot of times little kids, they're going to put on a Batman suit and run around and tell you, I'm Batman. And they feel and think in that very moment that they are Batman. But guess what? When it's time to get ready to go to school or go somewhere to a function or a dinner or somewhere, it's up to mom and dad to tell them, hey, you got to take off that Batman suit because it's time to get dressed in your regular clothes because we got to go to school. See, that's a parent's responsibility. But our government is stepping in. The left is stepping in. The liberals are stepping in. The Democrats are stepping in. And they're trying to convince your children that they can be anything they want to be. And it's terrible. It's terrible. Yes, drag queens. Drag queens have a political agenda, and it is stated in their literature, and it's stated on their Facebook pages, because I've read it on Miss Terracotta Sugar Baker's Facebook page. where I went and protested that particular drag queen in my local library here in Alpharetta. And I sat there and video recorded while he, a man dressed up as a woman, read to children, which is confusing. See, these are little kids. Little kids, they want to learn everything. That's why their favorite question is why. Children want to know everything, and they should be taught the truth. They want to know. They want to know. But taking a young child and sitting them in for story time in front of a man that's dressed as a woman, that's reading them books about how you can choose to be however you feel, and it'll make you happy, and it's how you feel loved and included and accepted. Reading those lies to them while they're looking at a man that's dressed as a woman is conditioning and confusing and brainwashing them to accept more things later on. It's conditioning and telling them that they can choose if they want to be a boy or a girl or non-binary or non-gender or whatever. And that's a lie. And it's wrong. It's completely wrong. But that's what the Democrat Party's doing. So they want to control these children and tell them, we're the party that accepts you for whatever you are. But that's a lie too. Because really, they're working towards a means of control. They're working towards a major means of control, and they're calling it right now democratic socialism. Because guess what? It won't be very long. They're going to easily drop that word democratic, and they're just going to call it what it is, socialism. That's the truth. That is the truth. So you see, it's not a boom, we're going to socialism, just like that. It's been moved in slowly, and steadily. And it's destroying our country while we're all so distracted and we're so busy working, having fun. I went to the Pecan Festival this weekend with Anthony and a whole bunch of our friends and Ben. We walked all around the Pecan Festival in Austin. And guess what? It was fun. It was fun. People are having fun. People go to, the Kentucky Derby was this past weekend, and people had parties and dressed up in hats and watched the Kentucky Derby. Baseball has started. People love baseball. They go to baseball games. Kids are playing baseball. There's high school baseball. There's college baseball. There's so many fun things to do. The weather is warming up. It's beautiful outside in most places, and you can get out in the warm weather and enjoy it. Pretty soon, swimming pools will be opening. Summer will be here, and there's so many fun and wonderful things. Summer vacations, where many people will go on vacations and just enjoy themselves on cruises and go to the beach and do so many wonderful, fun things. Those are fun things, and everyone's distracted with their fun things and their hard work that they do to make money, because you can't get off the treadmill. You'll never get off the treadmill. Really, you won't. You know why? Because your government has overspent your money, and we're in debt. We're slaves. $22 trillion we are in slaves. We're slaves. You want to know who owns our debt, everybody? The bulk of our debt, if you don't know this one, is owned by China. China owns most of our debt. Now, everyone knows this fact. When you're in debt, you are a slave to your debtor. You owe them. So we're slaves to China because they own our debt. That's the truth. So while we're having fun and working and fun, guess what? We're slaves to China. China, who has fully embraced socialism, gone way past that. They're straight up communism, and their platforms, their Facebooks, their internet is so controlled. They are programmed, and they have to do certain behavior as far as their work, their social behavior, all these things to earn their privileges. And if they misbehave, if they don't behave, say the things and do the things that their Chinese communist controlling government wants them to do, guess what happens? Their privileges get taken away. Things like, oh, now you can't ride on the public transportation because you got in trouble. You can't ride the train. You can't ride the bus. You're going to get fired from your job. because you didn't behave the way the government wants you to behave. That is the truth of how it is for people in China. I think that's terrible. That's the truth. And I want to say something because I saw someone's comment here. Rejecting a drag queen reading to children is not hateful. And it doesn't mean I'm rejecting that person. I want to explain that to you. I support that drag queen. I support his rights as an American. I support every single one of his rights. I do, because I believe in our freedom and our rights. However, I do not want him reading to children and pushing his way into my public library where he wasn't invited by our community. He was brought there by a community outside of my community in downtown Atlanta. He was brought there. It was a political agenda, and it says it on his Facebook page. It does. It says it in his information. So you see, my tax dollars are used for my public library. I own a business here. I own a home here. I've lived here for years. This is my community. My tax dollars pay for my library. So I have a say. I have a say in what happens in my library. All of us do. And those people outside of my community that don't pay taxes here, they don't have a say in my library. That's not me being hateful or not including him or not embracing him or accepting him. I'll embrace him all day long as an adult. I'll be his friend. I'll be all for his right to work, pursue happiness in America. But his right to work and his pursuit of happiness doesn't involve reading books to children he doesn't even know. He doesn't need to do that. That doesn't affect his ability and his freedoms as an American. It's an agenda. It's attacking our children. If you want to stand up for children and support children, you should protect children from lies and protect them from being confused. And so see, it's loving for me to stand up against it and not allow that to happen at my library. That's me loving and standing up for children that aren't even mine. And I have 3 children. So I'm a mom, and I know what's good for children. See, standing up and saying this is wrong. See, we have to have guidelines. You have to have laws saying, no. This is wrong and confusing for children. The truth is there's only male and female. This is a man dressing up as a woman because this is what he likes to do. He can have all of his sexual choices among other consenting adults. Consenting adults, that's the key word, keywords. I'm not against him as a person or his rights, but I'm very much against him reading to children. And I'm against that agenda that's being pushed on our children in schools. I want to point something else out to you. Well, actually, no, I'm going to skip that one. But what I'm telling you guys is the whole thing is a programming system. The Democrat Party wants to, it's called identity politics. They want to own an identity. They want to convince people that identify a certain way and relate to others based on that identity factor and gather together based on that identity factor. They want to convince those groups and those subgroups that the Democrat Party is the party for them and they're the party that will protect them. When in reality, it's a lie. The Democrat Party is the party that wants to control them and wants to use them for their votes to move our country into socialism, which will actually take away all of our freedoms, regardless of our political identity, regardless of any of that. It will affect all of us. See, that's how they're using you if you vote Democrat. That's how they're using the subgroups, how they're using blacks, how they're using Latinos, how they're using gays, how they're using transgenders, how they're using all these subgroups and telling them, oh, we're the party for you. They're not the party for you. They just say they are so they can get your vote, and then they can put socialism in place and take away all of our freedoms as we know them today. So they can put more bigger and bigger entitlement programs in place so that we end up having to pay more than 70% in taxes. Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders are flat out telling you on television and in their writings and in their speeches. They're telling you this is what's going to happen. And the reality is most of the Democrats are behind it. They support it too. They're just not saying it yet. But they support it too. So think about this. if you are a identity and you are someone that identifies in a group, you may be a church, you may be a skin color, you may be a sexual preference, whatever you are that creates your identity of who you believe you are, the Democrat Party is using you for your vote, using you so that they can gain power back and they can implement crazy things like the new Green Deal or the Green New Deal, whatever you call it. Because AOC says that the whole world is going to die in 12 years because of climate change. See, that's crazy. Guess what? Someone else told us that same thing years ago. His name's Al Gore. We heard that almost 30 years ago. Al Gore was running around saying, oh, the world's going to end. We got like 10 to 12 years. Global warming, we're all going to die. It's a lie, everyone. Don't believe the stupid lies. Here's the truth. You are capable. If you work hard, you are capable of achieving all of your American dreams in our country. You can. It's an incredible place. America is incredible. I'm proof of it. I'm a business owner. I'm successful. I'm so happy because I've worked so hard every single day to do it. I want the very same thing for every single one of you, and you can do it too. We can. We just have to stand up for our rights together. We have to stand up for our freedoms, stand up for our rights, and we have got to stop this crazy censorship that's happening. It happened to me. You know what? You know how I'm talking to you guys? If you don't know me, my name's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm talking to you because I have this amazing best friend of mine named Anthony that let me break out of my Facebook jail and get into his Facebook and do this video for you guys. That is an incredible friend. He did not have to do that. And it was risky, wouldn't you say? So I just want to say, Anthony, thank you so, so much. You are so wonderful and you're a dear friend of mine. And I just feel like God's blessed me by putting you in my life. I am. And all of you that support Anthony, listen, he's somebody special. And all the work he does is extremely important and special. So please support him. Please support him and help him and pray for him and pray for his safety, because he doesn't have to be doing what he's doing. He could be one of the people that goes, you know what? I think I'm just going to go get a regular job and not care about this anymore. I'm going to cover my eyes to the thousands of people coming across the border every day, and I'm going to go do something else with my spare time. But he doesn't do that. And that's what makes him so incredibly important and special for all of us. He doesn't do that. He does the opposite. While everyone else is running the other way, Anthony turns and he's running straight towards it. Those are the kind of people that I choose as my friends. And I am so grateful that he's my friend. I really am. I'm sincerely, sincerely grateful. All right, I have taken up so much of your time and so much time on his Facebook page here with this live video and explaining all of this to you. God bless every single one of you. I hope this has been informative and helpful. I hope you can share it. You can follow me on Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is my public figure page. I don't accept friend requests on my private page unless I know you. And that's simply because I have a family and I keep my private life private. But so go to my public figure page, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Eventually I will get out of Facebook jail, and this is the kind of work that I do here, this video here, and I share a lot of information. So, and I work with Anthony. I'm so lucky to be able to work with him, to know Oscar, to know Ben Berquam, know Will Johnson, and all these amazing American patriots that do this kind of stuff and are willing to open their mouth and talk in spite of trolls, in spite of pushback, in spite of censorship, in spite of people losing their jobs, people being, not being picked for jobs because of social media pages. Everyone sacrifices so much to do this, and it's so, so important. So important. So thank you so, so much. I hope you guys have an amazing week. God bless you all, and I'll see you soon. This is Marjorie Greene.